Hello, hello. Today is September 24th, 2020. It's a real treat for us today because Norm Winski is back, and does he have some great calls? Norm, it is all yours.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I thought I was last on your show on the 8th of September. I gave you some points. Now I'm going to do a sort of a quick overview of some of the principles that I use. We're looking at planetary cycles, lunar cycles, and the general principle is that a change in when the planets change trend, the markets change trend. Now the planets have several different types of cycles. As everybody knows, the planets go round and around. That's a factor. That's something I have to modify in the way people think about it, because they don't go around in a circle. They go around elliptically, like an A-shaped orbit. And so there's a close point and a far point. Okay, we'll be getting to that in a minute. Also, the planets, when they go around and around, like horses on a carousel, they oscillate up and down. So when they get to their midpoint, which is even with the planetary highway called the ecliptic, that seems to be a powerful energy point also. And then also we're going to be talking about when the planets change sign. We had one of those, a big one, happened back on the 2nd of September. We had a full moon on the 2nd, and I think that night we had Saturn, from the point of view of the sun, that's called heliocentrically, change signs. That only occurs every 2.5 years, and that's been the high. That was new all-time high, and that was the high. So we want to pay attention to these things. If you're haven't been looking at these things, you're fighting the battle with one hand tied behind your back, in my opinion. So here we go. They got the afternoon of the 8 p.m. is afternoon. Mercury hits 0 south latitude. That's a 0 latitude point when it gets to the middle of its up and down. With Mercury, as I told you, is the grains, corn, soybean, and stocks respond to all these cycles. The commodities only respond to certain ones. So there you go, and wheat. And then we had Mars, from the point of view of the sun, change signs, go into the sign Aries. And so we'll be watching stocks, corn, gold, and we got 2 stocks there, forget that.
That must be the NASDAQ, huh?
What's that?
One of them must be the NYSE and one's the NASDAQ. Go ahead.
Say again, please.
Go ahead. I made a lousy joke.
Then we have things, phenomena from the point of view of the Earth. That's called geocentrically, the relative motion of the Earth. The other planets, the Earth passes the planet, Earth passes us. And if you were to plot the planets at night, you would notice that they appear. That's the operative word here. Appear to at times stop their motion and reverse their direction. And so sometimes we have a planet stop its motion and turn to go backwards. That's called retrograde, from the Latin retro, for backwards. And we also down here have one going direct. That's forward. And so Mars only does that about every 2 years, and that was at the night of the 9th. So we'll be watching the stocks then, and then the night of the 11th, that was a weekend. Over the weekend, we had Jupiter turn direct, and we had coffee and stocks. Then we had the new moon on the night of the 16th in the sign of Virgo, and we round up the usual suspects: financials, grains, precious metals. And because it's in Virgo, we'll be emphasizing soybeans. And then I added a point that I did not give you when I was on the show, but it's the same principle I gave you before, that Mercury is grains, and so therefore you can Google this. So therefore it's all objective information that I can't change. It's predestined. You can look these points up for next year. They're not going to be all the same. But the point is, we know where the planets are going to be years from now, to the minute. So here we go. We have Mercury, aphelion. That's from Greek. Helios is Greek for sun. And when you see A in the front, that means it's afar. Okay, so Mercury at its farthest point from the sun, and we'd be looking at the corn because of the sun. We're looking at solar markets also, like corn, which is golden like the sun, and gold, which is golden like the sun. And then Mercury, you got your soybeans, you got your stocks, and wheat, because those are greens. All right, well, the soybeans and wheat are anyway. All right, this is my coffee point here. Jupiter in Capricorn. Capricorn is coffee, and so Jupiter turned direct in Capricorn, and there you go. If you sold there, I think you'd be a happy camper. Going short coffee there. If you're not familiar with trading coffee, it's a bit of a beast. Every penny move. These are dollars and cents over here. Every penny move in coffee is $375. So that's about a 10-cent drop there in 2 days. That's $3,750 in about 2 days. All right, here's your corn. I had 4 points there. They all worked to different degrees. You had a little 1 day, 1 to 2 day top there with our Mercury point. Then we had Mars point there on the 9th. That was a low. Then we went up, and we were 1 day ahead of the top there on the moon. And then we had our Mercury. There's our Mercury aphelion point there. Was the top of the corn, within very close to the top of the corn market there over the week of this the 18th. Yeah, the 18th. Yeah, there we go. All right, here we go. Here's the soybeans. It's kind of disappointing. Soybeans is one of our featured markets, and it was so strong. I don't know if you heard or not. I don't hardly ever talk about fundamentals, but supposedly the Chinese came in and bought records amount of soybeans, and so it just kept going up, up, up. At best, here, if you sold there, it would have gone sideways, and maybe you would have broken even or had a small loss. Here, we had timing-wise, if we don't look at price, only time, it was, we're 1 day ahead. We allow 1 day ahead of the moon. That's when the market topped, but it had a big move here. It was like 30 cents, which is $1,500 in soybeans. That's too much money, so I had to mark that with a red arrow for a miss. We did hit it here with the Mercury aphelion point was the top of the bean market. There you go. Here's wheat was very good. We had a little short-term bottom here on our Mercury point with the wheat, and it went sideways, then popped up. You had a chance to make a little bit of money there. Then you had another pullback low here with the moon, and then it shot up into our Mercury point on the over the weekend of the 18th, and there we go. Here's your gold. Had a little short-term top here, and there we go. Maybe had a little pullback there a day or two later. Over here we had a little wedgie pattern, and we had a little top there with the moon, and then the final dagger in the gold market was the Mercury aphelion. Told you that has to do with Mercury and the sun, relationship with your Mercury and the sun, and that was like the final high, and then off the cliff the gold went. We don't do sideways. That's good old Newton law. For every action, there's opposite and equal reaction, and the opposite of sideways is more sideways. It's a mirror image thing. All right, here's your S&P. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. We had the low there on the Mercury point on over the 8th, and then we went up for the 9th, and our 2 Mars points there were the little top there. We pulled back into Jupiter, joined direct over the weekend of the 11th. That was a little bit of a low there, and we rallied. And then we had come down into the moon for a little 1 day pop up. And then the big one was Mercury aphelion again over the weekend of the 18th, and that was a big thump Monday morning, if you remember, on the 21st, and that's been the low so far. Okay, so now the only thing I had for the bonds was the moon, the new moon, and it is going sideways. Had a little bit of a down, so you might be tempted to buy it there, but it went nowhere, and so you wouldn't have probably made or lost. If you lost any money, it would have been minimal. Here's the yellow bar, means we're doing nothing because it's going sideways. That's the dollar. Here's your Aussie dollar here. The currencies dance to the moon, and there you go. The Aussie dollar rallied into the moon, made a top there, and then rolled over, and down she goes. Here's the British pound, was very nice, up right to the moon, and then rolled over and went down. And then here's the Canadian dollar. It was going sideways. We do nothing. Here's your euro, pulled back into the moon and then popped up, so you had a chance to make some money there. And here's the score. If you add up all the green arrows and red arrows, we had 21 winners, 4 misses. Out of 25, that's 84%. Okay, so now here's why I asked to come on Jeff's show today. We got 2 big ones, really, really, as the old Ed Sullivan said, really, really big ones on our show tonight. And so we got we got what I call inner planets and outer planets. The inner planets are the ones near the sun. They're zipping around the sun, relatively speaking. You know, like Mercury goes around in 80 days, Venus 225 days, and it goes on out. And then there's a big jump between Mars and Jupiter. Mars takes 2 years. Then you jump to Jupiter. That's 11.5 years. And then Saturn 29.5 years, and Saturn. And then Uranus 84 years. Neptune will. So these are the really big cycles from Jupiter on out. They take a long time to go around the sun, and these, think of them like ships and boats. The inner planets are like little speedboats zipping around the sun, and the outer planets are like big ships. And so when they do something, the big ships have a big wake, and the little boats have a little wake. And the little boats do a lot, zipping around and doing lots of stuff, but they're not very powerful. The big guys are not very frequent, but when they do something, they can have a big effect. So we got Neptune and Pluto lining up together. Those are your two most outer planets. And that's tonight. So be watching for cocoa, coffee, hogs, oil, stocks, and T-bonds. And then tomorrow night, over the weekend, here's my zero latitude thing. When Venus gets to zero.
4 more minutes, Norm.
Yes, sir.
Only 4 more minutes on this program, so go ahead.
Okay. That's fine. So Venus markets are cattle, copper, cotton, sugar, and wheat. And here's a gain point here for the 25th. We have the 17,424 days from the major high of January 11th, 1973, major top. And so that's a reinforcement of this date for tomorrow. And then Monday night, we have Saturn turning direct for coffee and stock. So here's the charts. These are a day late. I did these last night, the night before. So you should update these and make sure some of these are going nowhere. Some of them are. We're looking for extremes in these markets. If they're going sideways, we're doing nothing. Hogs as last night, going sideways. Crude oil's going kind of sideways. They might have all changed today. I haven't had time to update these charts. There's your cattle kind of going nowhere. There's one. The copper has been dropping. And here's your cotton. It's kind of coming down. That looks maybe interesting. As sugar popped up and retested that high, that would be something to look at. And now we're going to look at the January barometer. As January goes, so goes the year. And this is a decades-old thing in Wall Street that you can use the January price action to forecast the entire year. And I was looking for a big turn in mid to late August, and it actually came in early September. This is a big picture forecast, so it could be off by a week or two. And we did top out, as I mentioned earlier, on the moon there on the 2nd of September. And then we've been in correction. We could come down here till early October and then get a bounce if we follow this model. So there we go. This is under the category of fractals, by the way. I do fractals for about 27 different markets. Here's something that happened this afternoon. The S&P December S&P Mini. I send these times out to my clients weeks in advance. I think Jeff will testify to that.
I can, Norm. You've got 2 more minutes till the program runs out.
Okay.
This was a major win.
318 we got. The moon was at maximum declination. We were right there at that point. And over the next 4 minutes, we dropped 14 and a half handles at $725 in about 4 minutes. Okay, so here's how you get a hold of me. If that's okay, Jeff, I got classes. I'll talk to the people. And there's my contact information there. And there we go.
Norm, those are absolutely fantastic calls, and I can vouch for the one at 3:18 Eastern, which you sent me the beginning of the month. That's hard to beat. So, Norm, can hardly wait till you come back again in a few weeks, and we'll see what you have to say. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.